Ron Holland, Bobby Klintman, Marcus Sasser. We're going to grade all the Detroit Pistons contracted players' summer league performance in just a moment.
Lane, skies a jam. Dynamite dunk and the crowd loves it.
Back to Pistons Intellect. I'm your host, Jack Kelly. You can follow me over on Twitter at Jack_Kelly_3on3. You can also follow us over on Instagram at Pistons_Intellect. And if you're feeling so kind, as always, please hit that subscribe button. Appreciate all the love. We've got content coming all off season on all channels. So stick with me and appreciate the support. On today's show, as I mentioned off the top there, the Detroit Pistons Summer League has come to a close. We saw 5 games of Pistons Summer League basketball. And with that now in the rearview mirror, I thought today's episode, we'll go through each of the contracted players, which there was 5, I believe, who played at Summer League. We're going to go through each player and give them a grading on their performance. And before we get to the first player, I just want to say, the way I am grading this is based on kind of expectations versus what the player delivered. So I think most of you would understand that, but I just want to reiterate, this isn't like me comparing, say, for example, Ron Holland to how, Reed Shepherd performed, or this isn't me comparing Ron Holland and grading him, comparing him to someone that might have struggled. It's purely based, and this makes it somewhat subjective, but I thought the best way for me to grade it was kind of what I expected versus how they performed. So these are my gradings. And of course, for each player I go through here, I'd love you to leave your gradings in the comments below, how you thought these players performed. So we'll get to the first one here right away. And I think we'll start with the Pistons' 5th overall selection in Ron Holland. Holland averaged 18 points, just under 19 a game, 6.5 boards, 2 assists, 1.5 steals. He also had 1 block, shot 41% from the field, 24% from 3. He played in 4 games and around 27 minutes a night. And as you can see here, I've given him a B. Now, I think it's worth also mentioning, because I saw a lot of, of draft Twitter kind of sitting Ron in kind of the lower tiers of performance, which I thought, in fairness, a lot of that kind of conversation I saw before the 5th and final game against Utah yesterday. But Ron actually ended up averaging the 5th most points amongst all rookies. He was in, I think, the top 15 for scoring at Summer League, maybe top 20. And, the steals, the blocks, he was kind of everywhere. And I think that's where I want to start with Ron. The reason I've given him a B is this grading was probably much closer to a C after his first 2 games. But I think what we saw from Ron each and every game was his performance got better and better the more comfortable he got. And I think that's to be somewhat expected from a 19-year-old, particularly at Summer League. I was really happy to see him play in 4 Summer League games. Traditionally, the Pistons, their lottery picks have normally only played the first 2 games, maybe the 3rd game, but Detroit decided to play all their draft picks for at least 4 games. Most played 5. So I thought that was cool to see them. I'm not sure really what the change-up is there, but after Ron sat out that 2nd game against the Rockets, I think it was, I was a little bit discouraged. I thought, this kid's like 19 years old. Like, the way he plays, the energy he has, like, I'm sure he's raring to go. So it was good to see him play 3 games straight and just get better with each game. And the shot selection got better. His first 2 games were pretty rough. He shot below 40% in each of those. And he took a lot of ill-advised shots, got blocked a lot at the rim, struggled on drives. But his final 2 games against the Knicks and Utah, he scored 20 and 23 points. He shot like 40-something% against the Knicks and then 53% against Utah. He knocked down some threes in those games. And his jumper overall, he knocked down a couple of mid-ranges, a few threes. The percentages are still quite low. But I think, Holland wasn't someone I did a heap of draft stuff on. He was kind of just in my kind of top 8 to 10 players based on his kind of ranking throughout the season and the pedigree he had coming out of high school. And just the pure numbers he put up at G League Ignite, even if they were on losing teams, I just thought a guy that produces that kind of volume of stats and his size and athleticism, like there's some value there no matter what. But to see his jumper, watch him shoot the ball for 4 games and watch each and every possession of his, I'm actually much more encouraged by the jumper. Now, I think it's still going to take 2 to 3 years before he's an average jump shooter in this league. I hope I'm wrong. But, I'm not sitting here saying he's going to shoot high 30s as a rookie. But I think just the mechanics of it all and the way he follows through at times, and just the balance is much better than kind of what I saw, at least from the G League stuff I watched. And I do think he's going to benefit a lot playing with someone like Cade Cunningham and just playing at the NBA level and getting – I think defense is going to sag off him, but I'm encouraged by the jumper, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. And, overall, just watching him get more comfort on drives, he made a lot of plays in transition. He missed some easy shots. Even in that Utah game yesterday or 2 days ago, he missed like the easiest of lob passes. Like, I don't know how he missed that. He missed another easy layup. But, against Utah, he made a number of tough drives and finishes. Admittedly, Utah didn't really have a shot blocking presence. They're kind of playing Filipowski, and I don't know their other bigs, but he kind of did that against below average NBA rim protection. But nonetheless, it's improvement, and he looked good on those drives. And I would like to think, even if there was a decent shot rim protector there, he's finishing or getting fouled. So I was really encouraged. Like I said, I think the reason I'm a lot more positive on Ron is just to see the way he closed out Summer League in those last 2 games. He made a lot of winning plays. The Pistons in every game, it felt like, got down by double digits and then would come back in the last quarter. And they did that against Utah after being down by like 20-odd points. And Ron was a big part of them getting back into this game and getting to within like 4 points, I think they got. So he didn't play a lot of the fourth quarter, but in the third quarter, he really helped them get back in that game. And I think a B is very fair for his performance based off expectations. I thought he performed a little bit better than I expected from a production standpoint, and the way he improved his efficiency and scoring each and every game led me to give him a B. So let me know your thoughts. I know some were encouraged, some were discouraged. I think no matter what, everyone's kind of excited by the prospect of Ron Holland because, it feels like he could come out. You're kind of not really sure what to expect on opening night. Like, if he gets enough minutes, I could easily see him scoring 10 to 15 points. Just in transition, just getting steals and mucking things up. Like, there's a lot of unknown, exciting potential with him. So I think a B's fair. I want to know your grade, so let me know in the comments below. The next player I want to get to is Marcus Sasser. Now, the second-year Pistons player, picked 25 a year ago, which the Pistons traded up to get him. I'm very high on Marcus Sasser at the time. I still am high on him, and I still think there is a place on this Pistons team for him. But I have to admit, he struggled a lot at Summer League. And the reason I've given him a D+ is it might be higher than some thought, but I settled on a D+ because I guess, how can I say this? There wasn't a whole heap of positives for Marcus, but the reason I'm not giving him kind of a total failure is because he was playing and trying to learn a new role at the backup point guard position. This is a guy that has played pretty much his entire rookie season. He did play some backup point guard, but he's the score first guard. He's a shooting guard in a point guard's body, and the Pistons are asking him and trying to develop him into a backup point guard, and that's largely due to his size. And if he's going to become more than just a spark plug off the bench, it's going to be because he develops into a really good backup point guard. And dare I say, I would say the ceiling for him would be like a fringe starting point guard. So they're trying to mold him into that. And I think he wants to become that for his own NBA career and his own kind of earning capacity and potential in the league. And you can see him at times trying to learn that. And you can see him battling with trying to play his natural game as a scorer and trying to learn the ropes as a backup point guard. And that's the reason I haven't been, overly critical on the numbers and that kind of thing, because watching him play, I saw him a lot in two minds. I saw him struggle to get the offensive flowing, but I think this is summer league. This is what this time, like this is what this time of year is for. This is what the off season is for you as a player, particularly a second year player, whose role might be changing on the team with the additions of Hardaway Jr., Beasley, minutes at the two alongside Cade and Ivy. There's not a lot of those. So for Sasa to find minutes on the floor next season, it feels like it's going to be the backup point guard position, and he's trying to learn that. I think everyone is aware of that. And yes, he struggled, but Jarrett Jack spoke highly of him and his learning process at Summer League. So, but at the end of the day, there's also no excusing the fact, and this is why I probably could have been harsher, but I decided not to. But the fact he shot 33% and 25% from three, he only averaged 12 points per game. And overall, above those numbers, it just never – he had like a quarter, maybe 2 fourth quarters here and there. But aside from a quarter, maybe a quarter and a half, I'll give him, it really didn't feel like he is that second-year sophomore guy at Summer League. Like, last year he had the 40-point game at Summer League. He did struggle in some of the other games, but this year he didn't really have a signature game in terms of Summer League. Like, there wasn't a full game or 3/4 of a game where you go, oh, wow, this guy's too good for Summer League. And a lot of it had to do with him not knocking down shots, but the fact he played 5 games and shot 33%, 25%, that was concerning to me. I believe in him as a shooter. I don't think the regular season, these are going to be shooting splits by any means. But, based on what we saw, I just can't give him a better grade than this. Maybe I'm being too generous. Maybe he deserves a D or a D minus. I think giving him an F would be harsh considering he's trying to learn a new role. But I understand a lot of people were frustrated with him, and I was certainly frustrated watching him at times as well. So that's probably enough on him. Let me know your comments below. And then the third player who I want to spend a bit of time on is Bobby Klintman, who I think became all our favorite Summer League player. Not many of us were expecting a whole heap probably out of Bobby Klintman. We certainly weren't expecting 11 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, 42% shooting from the floor. And my good friend over at Detroit Bad Boys, Brady Fred, tweeted this out today, which I thought was really cool. Bobby Klintman led all 2024 draft picks in three-point percentage at the Summer League on 6 attempts per game. He was tied for eighth in assists per game amongst rookies and 4th in rebounds amongst rookies. So seriously good numbers from Bobby, and a guy that in each and every of his 5 games made an impact, made winning plays, knocked down threes. Like against the Jazz, he hit 3 threes in the second half. He had that huge third quarter against the Rockets to help pull them back into the game and win. The passing, I tweeted out kind of yesterday a comp of like a compilation of all his good passes. So go check that out. But for those that watch, you'll know what I'm talking about. Just the passing, the feel, the rebounding. It was all, like I've said multiple times, like I watched Bobby Klintman in the NBL for an entire season. And he had some great games, but he had a lot of games where he kind of disappeared. And there were a couple of quarters here and there where he struggled at the Summer League, but for the most part, he was involved. He was making plays. He was rebounding. He was getting steals. And if he wasn't getting steals, he was knocking down a 3. I kind of just felt like he was always making some form of play. And you look at the numbers at the end of the whole 5 games, and you kind of just have to say, like, wow. And this is why I give him an A minus, because I probably definitely did not expect this at all. I probably did. I've always believed in the shooting and the spot-up shooting. So to say I'm shocked that he averaged 11 points would be a lie, but for him to shoot 42% on 6 attempts across 5 games, this isn't a 2-game sample size or 3. Like, he played all 5 games, played nearly 30 minutes a night, and shot the ball that well. So the rebounding as well, I probably didn't expect, to be honest. He always was good at getting steals and making plays in transition. That was a strength for him. In the NBL, was getting a steal and either getting an assist from that or generating a dunk for himself. But yeah, I mean, he looked like just the prototypical four-man out there, a true modern-day kind of bigger wing. Needs to add some strength. He really struggled to score inside the arc. I think I saw a stat like he was like 5 of 20 from inside the three-point line. So a lot of his damage came from shooting from the three. And don't mind me, I'm just having a sip of my beer. I'm on holiday. But nonetheless, I think an A- is fair. Yeah, the only thing that probably honestly let him down was just there was a few defensive moments where I think Bobby's similar to Ron and a lot of rookies in the sense like they get steals, they make plays, but in terms of positioning, sometimes like he lacks some strength. I saw him get lost and get beat on backdoor cuts by Filipowski a couple of times yesterday. So he's just a rookie, but I have to mark. It can't be all positive. There were some negatives, and plenty of stuff for him to work on. But yeah, apart from some defensive miscues and shooting inside the paint, like he pretty much did everything else. And I'm just going to look up his turnover numbers here because for me, I don't think they were too high. I was pretty impressed with the way he passed the ball clearly. And then in terms of turnovers, where is this one? Bobby Klintman turnovers. Looks like he had 2 a game. So probably a little bit higher than I expected, but if he can keep it around 1 a game, that would be huge as a rookie. So I'm really impressed with him. Then the last 2 players, which I don't have a lower third for these 2 here, but the last 2 players who are contracted for the Pistons on the roster next season, the first is Dennis Jenkins, who I spoke at length about after his 26-point performance. He finished Summer League playing all 5 games. I think he started all of them, 26 minutes a night. He averaged pretty much 10 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, steal a game. And then he shot the ball at around 35% and 33% from 3. So he kind of dipped off a bit after the first 2 really good games, particularly that huge game against the Rockets. I would give him probably a B. Simply, he's a two-way guy. I didn't expect a whole heap. I thought he made a lot of nice plays. He made some plays defensively. He still had some really nice raw numbers there. Field goal percentage is a bit low. I feel like maybe after his first 2 games where he played with a lot of confidence, and I'm happy to see a player like this continue to play with the same confidence and shoot the ball the way they were in those 2 games, but the shots just didn't fall. Some step back threes in there, maybe some forced looks that he probably wouldn't take if he was playing with the Pistons pro team in the regular season. But nonetheless, I think he probably exceeded expectations. I think a B is very fair for him. And then the last player who is contracted with the Pistons for next season, he only played the 2 games, and that's Wendell Moore Jr. We didn't see him after the first 2 games. And yeah, he came across in that trade. I can't remember off the top of my head, but the Pistons got him, I think, for some picks or something. But yeah, he didn't do a whole lot. He averaged 5.5 points, 3 rebounds, 1.5 assists, a steal. Only shot the ball at 25% and then 16% from 3. Look, he's a wing, but I'll be honest, I was a bit underwhelmed with his athleticism at times. It looked like he could barely get, up to do layups sometimes. Yeah, I don't think he's going to play much of a role in this Pistons team. So I'll probably he only played the 2 games, so we didn't get to see a lot of him, but I think I'll have to say he's probably a bit below what I expected and probably hovers around the D for me. So that's going to do it for today's episode. I'd love to know your gradings, particularly on the first 3 players we spoke about, of course. And I think that's going to do it, guys. Summer League's done. Pistons went 2-3. I had fun. It's our last bit of kind of Pistons basketball until preseason action kicks off in September or early October, I should say. So I know I had fun watching it. I hope you did. Let me know if you had any other Summer League thoughts. And as I said, of course, please let me know of your grades for each of the Pistons players. But until Friday, we will be back to record another episode. As always, go Pistons.